You're watching ABC News Ghana. I am Jennifer Somoa. Coming up in today's bulletin. Coming up, to enhance transparency, reduce delays and improve resource allocation within the school feeding program, the Ministry of Gender has introduced an innovative way. We'll bring you the details. Coming up, the Office of the Attorney General has filed a notice of appeal against the Court of Appeal judgment that acquitted and discharged Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen and Richard Japa in the ambulance case. We'll bring you more. Also coming up, the conclusions made by the Office of the Special Prosecutor declaring former President Mahama as government official one in the Airbus scandal has sparked conversation on corrupt practices. We will be speaking to the experts. Still to come in business, Vice President Dr. Baumia is advising a framework to address the city fall. And on the international front, in the U.S. elections, Donald Trump of the Republican and Kamala Harris of the Democrats have agreed to debate on ABC News. We'll bring you this and many more. This and many more coming up. Do stay with us. Thank you for choosing ABC News Ghana. Don't forget we are streaming on YouTube at ABC News Ghana. Now the news in detail. The Ghana School Feeding Program, in a press briefing yesterday, 9th August, has announced to undergo a technological renovation as it transitions from manual to digital operations. This was announced by Gender Minister Darkwa Newman in Accra, which aims to enhance transparency, reduce delays, and improve resource allocation within the program. The minister noted that the system will be operated not only in the New Draben South and Kwachi East districts, but a nationwide rollout will be carried out ahead of the 2024-2025 academic year. Mrs. Newman added that the digital platform will enable to eliminate any leakages that have afflicted the program in the past. However, she cautioned potential caterers to meet specific requirements, including proof of pre-financing their operations by having a minimum of 5,000 Ghana cedis in their accounts and a valid health certificate before applying. Joining us on the line is the Executive Secretary of the School Feeding Program, Madam Patience Tete. Thank you for joining us here on ABC News Ghana.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How is the Ghana School Feeding Program leveraging digital technology to improve the efficiency and transparency of food distribution and evaluation?
We saw it yesterday on the news as the gender minister came out that we are now migrating from the manual to digital. And that's what we are just waiting for.
Okay, but what measures have been put in place to ensure that the food that is served to school students meets the nutritional needs?
Already we've been giving them a nutritional food though. Already we've been giving them a nutritional food. 1 hot meal per day, per child, per people.
Okay.
And asking how the migration would have effects. That's our main problem now. But we've been advised that in due time there will be a communication through our desk officers and then that of the other sectors to as to how those that cannot be able to go through the digitization on online registration so that they can help them with that. Because not all the school feeding caterers are lifted. Excuse me to say, some of them are illiterate that they can't even do anything about it. So the desk officers as well as the zonal coordinators would also be in a position to help.
Okay, but can you give us a rundown of how this digital platform is going to work?
Really, I can't say anything now because it has just been said. So we are waiting for the outcome. When the directives come, then we'll see what we can do. But basically, I know it's going to be online. We are going to purchase the forms online, fill it online, and then present it to them. So automatically, there's going to be someone who is going to, those cannot do it. People will be there to guide them, asking how to fill the forms.
So are caterers to apply for it, to use a digital platform?
We have it. She only said it yesterday, and she said in due time there will be a publication. So we are waiting for the publication to come out. When the publication comes out, then we'll see what to do.
But has the ministry contracted any organization on that to train them to use it? I mean, the caterers.
As for that, I cannot. I don't know. I don't have any idea about it. Okay. It was just what came out yesterday that we are basically basing on.
Then how is it going to be done? Is it in districts? Is it in across the regions? What is the pilot like? What is the plan?
At the moment, I think she said 2 districts. They are going to pilot it in 2 districts. So after they've started with the 2 districts, then the other regions will also join.
Okay. But aside that, are there any plans to incorporate nutrition, education, and awareness program in the school feeding program to promote healthy eating habits?
Occasionally it's been done. It's been done.
Okay. But
occasionally they train us and how to. Occasionally they train us.
Okay. But what amount is really going into this digital platform instead of maybe enriching the food and making it more wholesome?
That's why I am saying that I can't say much. I can't say much about it now.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Patience Tete. She is from the
welcome.
school feeding program. Let's move on to the office of the special. Well, before we move on, let's just take a listen to the gender minister on this whole school feeding program.
That the Ghana School Feeding Program will no longer be running a manual system. We're going to be running an information management system to manage the entire process, to manage the caterer selection module, to manage the data collection module, and to manage the payments section of it. So everything will be run online going forward. You're going to see a publication in the papers concerning the first module that has to do with the caterer selection process. This process is opening it up to every prospective caterer to apply online. And so they would have to pay 200 Ghana cedis. They'll create a profile, they make payments, then they can work on the form, they can apply to be a Ghana School Feeding caterer. Okay, so that has to do with the caterer selection. Running a pilot system in 2 constituencies, that is in New Drabin South and I think Karachi East. So this pilot process that they're going to go through for these 2 districts will be the final one. So with data collection, it's also going to be online. What we've been running was a manual system where the caterer fills a form and then the SHEP coordinators also verifies and the head teacher also does. This is all manual. But now it's all going to be electronic. They're going to use tablets to do this. Immediately the pilot starts. After that, the rolling out of the national process will also start. So you'll see another publication for all 16 regions, this time not just for the 2 districts that have been advertised.
Away from the school feeding program, let's take a look at some legal issues as the Office of the Attorney General has officially filed an appeal at the Supreme Court to challenge the Court of Appeal's decision to acquit and discharge Minority Leader Dr. Kayso Atuforsen and businessman Richard Jakpa. The development comes as Dr. Kayso Atuforsen and Richard Jakpa, who were standing trial on charges of causing financial loss of 2.37 million euro to the state in an ambulance deal, were set free by the Court of Appeal in a 2-1 majority decision on July 30 after it held that there was no prima facie case for them to answer at the trial High Court. The relief sought from the Supreme Court by the AG are that the decision and consequential order of the Court of Appeal dated 30th July 2024 acquitting and discharging the accused Kayso Atuforsen and Richard Jakpa be set aside. Also, that the accused persons be ordered to continue with their defense at the trial High Court. The appeal by the AG is premised on 10 grounds, arguing that the Court of Appeal misdirected itself when it held that the prosecution failed to establish a prima facie case for Dr. Forsen and Jakpa to answer by opening their defense. The AG indicated that the Court of Appeal failed to consider the fact that after presenting its case, the duty required of the prosecution was to establish whether the accused persons had a case to answer. It added that the Court of Appeal, instead of focusing on whether a prima facie case had been established, rather indulge in possible defenses available to Dr. Forsen and Jakpa, which were the very essence for them to open their defense. Now, prior to this development, the AG in a press statement disclosed his intent to challenge the decision of the Court of Appeal, describing the ruling as perverse and unfair in the fight against abuse of public office. Reacting to this, the second accused person, Richard Jakpa, had indicated that his outfit is ready to face any legal suit or appeal that may come from the AG. Well, let's take a background of the ambulance case. Let's just see how this whole situation started, the whole background. Let's just go deep into it. Well, Dr. Kayso Atuforsen, who is the former Deputy Minister of Finance and the current Minority Leader in Parliament, he's facing trial with Richard Jakpa for allegedly causing a 2.37 million euro financial loss to the state over an ambulance deal. This is to purchase 200 ambulances for the country between 2014 and 2016. Well, while serving as a Deputy Finance Minister, a position he held from 2013 to January 2017, the government decided to go into an ambulance deal with Big C to procure ambulances for the health sector of Ghana. And this is based on the deal that he is currently facing trial. Also, they have pleaded not guilty to counts of willfully causing financial loss to the state, abetment to willfully causing financial loss to the state, contravention of the Public Procurement Act, and intentionally misapplying public property. Well, in 2009, Professor John Evans Atamils indicated that new ambulances would be purchased to expand the operations of the National Ambulance Service. Well, Richard Jakpa, who is a local representative of Big C General Trading Limited, which is a company based in Dubai, subsequently approached the Ministry of Health with a proposal that he had arranged for finance from Stanbic Bank for the supply of 200 ambulances to the government. Well, Parliament approved the financing agreement between the government and Stanbic Bank. Well, they also added that on August 7, 2014, Dr. Kayso Atuforsen, as Deputy Minister of Finance, wrote to the Bank of Ghana for letters of credit covering 3.95 million euro for the supply of 50 ambulances in favor of Big C. Well, the letters of credit were accordingly released to Big C, the fact said that 30 ambulances were purchased at a sum of 2.37 million euro, but all were found not to have met ambulance specification and therefore not fit for purpose. Well, let's take a look at the verdict by the Court of Appeal. So these are some of the verdicts by the Court of Appeal. Well, the Court of Appeal on Tuesday acquitted and discharged the minority leader Dr. Kaisel Atoforsen and Richard Jakpa, the third accused in the ambulance case. And this 2-1 decision overturned the previous order from the trial court, which required Dr. Atoforsen and Jakpa to open their defense. Well, let's look at the verdicts then. 1. The judges who presided over the case were Justices Philip Bright Mensah, Kweku Tewia Akabuafo, and Justice Alex Poku Echampon. And secondly, in a 2-1 majority decision, the Court of Appeal held that the evidence provided by the prosecution during the trial was not sufficient to establish the prima facie. We'll be having further discussions with lawyer Abraham Amaleba, who is a director of conflict resolution of the NDC, on this very development. Thank you for joining us here on ABC News Ghana.
Thank you for having me.
What is your initial thought on the Attorney General's appeal?
Just to say that the Attorney General is a bit petty. I think that he mustn't think that he can win every case on earth. And that when the Court of Appeal gave its ruling, all the grounds that he's canvassing today at the Supreme Court were dealt with. I think that the Attorney General has taken this matter so personal to the extent that he thinks that the defeat at the Court of Appeal is his personal loss. So he's doing all that he can to overturn it. But we are waiting to see what the Supreme Court will say. Hello?
But what is your preparation towards it? Towards the Court of Appeal?
Well, once they are there, the lawyers will also beat them there. That's the job of the lawyers. Once a matter has been filed in court, you have no option. You can't say I won't go to court. You can't say I won't prepare. You will definitely have to prepare and go and meet the Attorney General. So that's a given. That's not a difficulty at all. Okay. That's why lawyers are there, and that's the work of a lawyer.
But prior to this, the minority said whenever there is a court ruling, they would not come to Parliament. They would be there. But we have a lot of bills pending that we need to also look at. How will this appeal affect all of this?
I indicated to you how petty the Attorney General is. Now, you can see that this is more or less a persecution, not a prosecution. If it is a proper prosecution, I don't think the minority will take that stance. What I think they are doing is protesting against the Attorney General's abuse of power, using the court system to harass the minority leader, and that for them should not go without a protest. That is the tool they have. So once they have that tool, just like doctors have the tools not to attend to patients when they are on strike, this is also the tool they have, and I don't begrudge them. If you listen to the audio recording between Jakpa and Attorney General, you can see clearly that in that audio, Attorney General said that he's under pressure by Nana Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta to prosecute and jail the minority leader so there can be a by-election. We all heard this. So you don't expect people who belong to the same group to sit aloof and not do anything. So those bills can wait. Anytime they go to court, they will come back and deal with it.
Favor after the appeal, would you accept the judgment?
Unless, because for now, the ruling of the Court of Appeal, unless there's a superior argument against the Court of Appeal. We will study the ruling and then take a stand on it when the Supreme Court gives its verdict.
Thank you very much, Lawyer Abraham Amaleba. Well, he spoke to us on the recent developments from the ambulance case and also the verdict. Well, let's move on to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, who has concluded its investigations into the bribery of some government officials and their involvement in the purchase of aircraft from Airbus SE, an European multinational aerospace corporation. Well, the investigations, which spanned over 3 years, have finally been concluded, with the OSP recommending no further criminal action against the persons implicated in the allegations of bribery and corruption with the purchase of aircraft from Airbus. The OSP cleared former President John Dramani Mahama and 3 others, including the former president's brother, of any wrongdoing with regards to the allegations of some 5 million euros in bribes paid by Airbus to government to induce the purchase of aircraft from the company. The OSP said it did not find any evidence to suggest the former president had any involvement in the procurement and maintenance of an agency relationship between Airbus and its associates in the purchase of the aircraft. However, the OSP identified the former president as a government official, one stated in the ruling of UK, US, and French courts, which led to the commencement of the OSP's investigations.
Further, the OSP found no evidentiary basis that suggests that former President John Dramani Mahama or any other public official was paid bribes by Samuel Adam Foster, also known as Samuel Adam Mahama, Philip Sean Middlemis, and Leanne Sarah Davis in respect of the purchase by the government of Ghana of military transport aircraft from Airbus. Then again, the OSP found no evidentiary basis that suggests that former President John Dramani Mahama or any other public official was induced to improperly favor or did improperly favor Airbus in respect of the purchase by the government of Ghana or military transport aircraft. A special prosecutor has directed the closure of the OSP investigation into alleged bribery of high-ranking Ghanaian officials by Airbus SE through intermediaries in respect of the sale of military transport aircraft by Airbus SE to the Republic of Ghana between 2009 and 2015. The OSP would not institute criminal proceedings against any person in respect of this investigation.
Well, meanwhile, former President John Mahama has thrown a challenge to President Nana Akufo-Addo and his vice, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to avail themselves for the same level of scrutiny that he faced during the Airbus scandal investigations. His comments come after the OSP, the Special Prosecutor's investigation, cleared him of any wrongdoing in the case. In a statement from the former president's office, Mahama expressed his satisfaction with the investigation's outcome, stating that it has vindicated him from the unfounded accusations leveled against him. John Mahama criticized the governing New Patriotic Party for allegedly using the Airbus scandal as a tool to tarnish his reputation for political gain. He argued that the truth has ultimately prevailed and urged the government to focus on addressing the country's pressing issues rather than engaging in smear campaigns. Well, still on the same beat, convener of the Fixing the Country movement, Ernest Owusu Bempah, has announced that they will be hitting the streets if the Office of the Special Prosecutor does not have a second look at its decision to find no bribery evidence against former President John Dramani Mahama in the Airbus scandal. According to the group, the OSP made several mistakes and misjudgments, especially with his conclusion that former President John Dramani Mahama wasn't a beneficiary of the bribery money in the Airbus scandal. In a statement, the convener has asked the OSP to look into the matter again. Failure to do so will lead to a mass protest against the OSP, Ernest Owusu Bempah, who is also a Deputy Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party, said the OSP. lacks the ability to investigate and prosecute serious alleged criminality. The group has given the OSP Kisi Ejabin up to 7 days to revert, otherwise it will hit the streets. Well, let's take a look at the genesis of the Airbus scandal, how this whole scandal started and how long it has started. Well, with the Airbus scandal, well, let's take a look at the breakdown of the Airbus scandal. Well, UK Serious Fraud Office, the US and French Departments of Justice conducted investigations into the operations of the Airbus SC and published their findings in January 2020. The investigation found out that Airbus SC offered bribes to officials of the government in Ghana, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Taiwan. This came to light after nearly 4 years of investigations by authorities in the USA, the UK and France into the business operations of Airbus. And as a result of this, the Airbus SC were charged in the UK and US for breaches. However, Airbus SC entered into plea bargain and paid 3.9 billion to avoid prosecution, and their cases with the 3 countries closed. However, Ghana's involvement in the bribery scandal was heard in a UK High Court. The court discovered that some high-rank government officials, which were described as Government Official 1 and Intermediary 5, a blood relation of Government Official 1, were reportedly involved in receiving money from Airbus SC. They did this with the help of Intermediary 6 and 7. Well, the deals covering them were argued at the time to be in line with the 2009 to 2012 strategic plan of the Ghana Armed Forces. Also, all 3 purchases approved by Ghana's parliament after heated disagreements on the floor were roundly marketed by the government of the day as a drive to modernize Ghana's Air Force. Well, the bribe amounting to 5 million euros was meant to enable the company to win contracts in Ghana for the purchase of 3 military aircrafts between 2011 and 2015. And as a result, Ghana has indeed bought 3 Airbus C-295 military transport aircraft. That was 2 in 2011 and another in 2015. Well, one of the C-295s acquired under the deal supported United Nations-led missions in Mali. The rest were bought, as the government explained at the time, to support strategic operations of the Ghana Air Force, including surveillance of the country's offshore oil production fields, border patrol, the training of pilots, and internal transportation of troops. Well, following the release of the report, the president referred the case to the OSP for further investigation on February 2, 2020. The then special prosecutor, Martin Amidu, who had also found the corruption suspicions credible, opened an investigation on 4 February 2020. Well, the office of the special prosecutor noted that there is reasonable suspicion of corruption in the Airbus scandal. In a press release from the office commenting on the issue for the first time since the referral from the president, the special prosecutor Martin Amidu stated that offences such as bribery of public officials and the use of public office for private profit will be subject to his investigations. Well, let's go back to the ambulance case and take a look at The Court of Appeal on Tuesday acquitted and discharged Minority Leader Dr. Kayso Atuforsen and Richard Jakpa, the third accused in the ambulance case. And this 2-1 decision overturned a previous order from the trial court, which required Dr. Atuforsen and Jakpa to open their defense. Well, looking at the verdicts. 1. The judges who presided over the case were Justices Philip Bright Mensah, Kweku Tewia Akabuafo, and Justice Alex Pokue Echampon. Number 2 in the verdict, in a 2-1 majority decision, while the Court of Appeal held that the evidence provided by the prosecution during the trial was not sufficient to establish a prima facie case to warrant the accused persons, and that is Kayso Atuforsen and Richard Jakpa, to answer to the charges leveled against them. Also still looking at the verdict, Justices Philip Bright Mensah and Kweku Tewia Akabuafo were all on the majority side, while Justice Alex Pokue Echampon dissented. Well, 4th, on the verdict, Justice Akabuafo held that there was no link between the evidence adduced by the prosecution and the offense the prosecution claimed to have been committed. Also, for Justice Philip Bright Mensah, he said apart from writing to the Bank of Ghana for the letters of credit for the purchase of the ambulances, Dr. Forsen played no significant role for him to be held accountable, and subsequently in his defense. We have on the line Senator Nutu speak to us on the Airbus scandal. Thank you for joining us here on ABC News Ghana.
Thank you.
Well, that's the conclusion of the OSP investigation. Affirmed the supposition that the president directed to the OSP was a political witch hunt.
Oh no, I don't think that that's the way to capture it or to conclude on it. What it just simply says is that at the end of the investigation, the suspicion or the allegations were not found to be accurate or tenable. So the former president has been exonerated. It does not necessarily mean it's a political witch hunt. Indeed, when the special prosecutor points out that presidents and vice presidents should make every effort to recluse themselves from such proceedings so that there is no suspicion of conflict of interest. What he's saying is that there was potentially a legitimate suspicion, for which reason the special prosecutor and his office have investigated and then finally established that there really wasn't a case.
Well said. There are those questioning the amount spent on the investigation, arguing that it amounts to a loss to the state. Do you believe there has not been any value for money in this case?
No, I don't think that there's been. I mean, the very important part of what the special prosecutor has done for us is to provide for us a chronology of events, and that chronology places the event of the negotiations and the conclusion of negotiations on cost, etc., way ahead and distinctly separate from the engagement of the president's brother to help in terms of delivery. What it means, therefore, is that at no point could the brother or the relationship with the brother have had any influence on the transaction and its negotiations. So, really, I don't think that, and indeed, the processes show that the stakeholders who ought to be at the table to ensure value for money were there. So I don't think that there is any basis to say there was no value for money.
But what does this conclusion of the OSP mean to the fight against corruption, especially when some said he lacks the ability to prosecute high-level criminals and not just this case?
Who has said he lacks the ability to prosecute high-level criminals? I mean, the law, Act 959, as we crafted it, it was especially to deal with high-level crime, corruption and corruption-related offenses. So it is not accurate if anyone says he cannot. Indeed, this is a landmark report because you have a situation where a sitting president triggered an investigation of the former president. The former president, as it were, submitted himself to the process, and there's an institution that has had the moral courage to provide the report within the tenure of the sitting president and tell him that the former president is exonerated. That's actually very outstanding. The Special Prosecutor's Office for having the courage to do what is necessary and reporting without fear or favor to either party.
Thank you very much, Edem Sonanu. He is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. We'll be back with more after this break.
You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050.
Away from local stories, let's do some business now. The Vice President, Dr. Muhammad Dubomia, has proposed a new foreign exchange regime management architecture for Ghana, expected to take effect in 2025, in which the value of the Ghana cedi will be anchored to gold. He made this proposition at the commissioning of the Royal Ghana Gold Refinery, a joint venture between the Precious Minerals Marketing Company and Rossi Royal Limited. The Vice President said that the best anchor for the cedi is gold and emphasized the need to anchor the Ghana cedi to gold.
I would like to propose a new foreign exchange regime management architecture for Ghana next year, in which the value of the cedi, with everything that we are putting, will be anchored to gold. This is where we are going. I want us to move our foreign exchange management because we need an anchor. And I believe that the best anchor for the cedi is gold. So I want us to anchor the cedi to gold. I'm proposing a framework. We'll discuss, of course, with the central bank, and we'll see where. But the framework that I'm proposing is very simple, having looked at all that we have done. So all significant demand for gold should be channeled through the Bank of Ghana's gold purchase program.
Let's do some sports now. Former president of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, Issa Hayatou, has died at the age of 77. According to reports, Hayatou passed away on Thursday, just hours shy of his 78th birthday on August 9. He was CAF president for 29 years before leaving office in 2017. Hayatou's death was confirmed by FIFA president Gianni Infantino, who expressed condolences to his family, friends, and former colleagues. Infantino described Hayatou as a passionate sports fan and IOC member who dedicated his life to sports administration. While in a thrilling semi-final at the 2024 Paris Olympics, the United States men's basketball team staged a remarkable comeback against Serbia, overcoming a 13-point deficit in the fourth quarter to win 95-91. Led by Curry's clutch shooting and contributions from LeBron James, Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid, Team USA, outscored Serbia 32-15 in the final quarter. Well, the comeback was capped off by a late three-pointer from Curry, sending the Americans to their 5th consecutive Olympic gold medal game, achieving the largest comeback in Olympic basketball history. Team USA will face host country France in the gold medal game. Botswana's 21-year-old sprinter Letsio Tebego has made history by winning the gold medal in the men's 200-meter final at the 2024 Paris Olympics. This marks the first ever Olympic gold medal for Botswana in the 200-meter event. Letsio's impressive performance saw him cross the finish line in 19.46 seconds, a new African record and the 4th fastest time in history. He led wire demonstrating his exceptional speed and endurance. American sprinter Noah Lyles, who had been favored to win, finished 3rd and took bronze in 19.70 seconds. Kenny Bednarek of the United States won silver with a time of 19.62 seconds. In honor of Letsio Tebego, the president of Botswana, Eric Masisi, has declared today, August 9, as a public holiday. Away from sports, let's take a look at what is happening on the international front. Donald Trump, the Republican presidential nominee, and Kamala Harris, the Democratic presidential nominee, have agreed to participate in a presidential debate on September 10, hosted by ABC News. Trump initially indicated he would not participate in the ABC debate due to a lawsuit he filed against an ABC News anchor. However, he later reversed his decision and confirmed his participation in the debate. Harris had previously expressed her willingness to debate Trump on September 10, and ABC News has now officially confirmed the debate. We'll be back with more after this break.
You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or 050-993-0360 to secure your slot. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's do some more local stories. The President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has cut short on Thursday to start construction of the Adentan Dodowa dualization road project in the Adentan constituency, and this will transform the existing single-track Adentan Dodowa road into a 22-kilometer dual carriage way with double lanes on each side, service lanes and intersections.
Another significant milestone in our determined pursuit to transform the road infrastructure of the nation. We're here to cut the sword, the dualization of the Adentan Dodowa road. This vital interregional road connects our nation's capital to the eastern and northern regions and beyond. Nation well. The time has now come for an upgrade. The dualization of the Adentan Dodowa road is part of the government's comprehensive strategy to enhance the main trunk roads of the country.
Let's go back. In terms of to Bantan Road, this station, the camera called Delta Junction or Delta Valley. It traverses through rich communities like Kafraha, Asia, Kuma, Oibi, and it ends in the last step of Zuluwa. Your Excellency, this road continues through Somalia and ends on the
On elections 2024, the MPP parliamentary candidate for Tema West constituency, Dennis Amfo, has boldly declared that the ruling party will convincingly, despite concerns of slim vote differentials recorded in previous elections between the ruling party and the opposition NDC. The parliamentary vote difference in the constituency is a little over 2,500 between the NPP and the opposition NDC, despite significant gains made by the 2020 NDC candidate Raphael Tufor, who polled a total of 44,171 votes against the incumbent Carlos Ahenkwa, who polled 46,707 votes. Well, according to the former chairman of Tema West, even though the contest is quite close, he is hopeful of winning the seat.
In 2016, Honorable Carlos Ahenkwa emerged as a candidate for the MPP. We went to the election with a votes difference of about 900. But at the end of polls, we won with about 44,500, whilst the NDC candidate, James Inu, had about 26,000. So the votes difference was about 14,000 thereabouts. Now, in 2020, even though our votes share went up from 44 to 47,000, the NDC appreciated with a new candidate, Dr. Tufor, who got about 44,000 of the votes. So as it stands now, we are going into these elections, the votes difference over 2,500. But the fact that there's a new candidate in me, and has brought a new energy and a new hope for the people, I can tell you without a doubt that we are going to win, and we'll win convincingly with a lot more votes difference between ourselves and the NDC.
Meanwhile, Dennis Amfo Sefa has hinted at plans to set up a youth resource development center to train the youth in some 10 selected professions when voted to represent the constituent of Tema West. According to Dennis, the initiative will help tackle the issue of high unemployment rate in the constituency.
Yeah, so my campaign is divided into three folds. One is to look at the youth unemployment situation in the constituency. I strongly believe that if I'm able to touch the youth unemployment situation in the constituency, it will reduce the unemployment rate within my constituency. So, for instance, as one of my proposals or my policies to try and reduce the youth unemployment situation in the constituency is to build a skill development resource center in Tema West. What this skill development resource center seeks to do is to train youth in 10 skill disciplines. And after we train them for free, we tool them and set them up so they become bosses on their own.
Away from that, let's do some entertainment. Ohima Mercy, a renowned Ghanaian gospel musician, has announced the launch of her 11th annual Tehillah Experience concert themed The Battle. The event will take place on Sunday, September 8, 2024 at the Oil Dome of Royal House Chapel International in Accra. The concert aims to inspire believers to spread the gospel and fulfill their divine purpose, emphasizing worship as a tool for evangelism and personal spiritual growth. Since its inception in 2014, the Tehillah Experience has grown to become one of the most significant gospel music events in Ghana. Before we wrap up the bulletin, let's take a recap of our top stories. To enhance transparency, reduce delays, and improve resource allocation within the school feeding program, the Ministry of Gender has introduced an innovative way. Also, the Office of the Attorney General has filed a notice of appeal against the Court of Appeal judgment that acquitted and discharged Dr. Keiso Atuforsen and Richard Jakpa in the ambulance case. The conclusions made by the Office of the Special Prosecutor declaring former President Mahama as government official 1 in the Airbus scandal has sparked conversation on corrupt practices. Also in business, Vice President Dr. Bawumia is advising a framework to address the CD4. And on the international front, the U.S. elections, Donald Trump of the Republican and Kamala Harris of the Democrats have agreed to debate on ABC News. Well, that's all for the bulletin, and thank you for staying with us. I am Jennifer Sumwa. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles at ABC News Ghana. Good afternoon.